Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Welcome to the Stupid Nerdcast. Today we have our special guest, Juan as Cleric. And we have Raziel as Zach. And of course, Stupid Nerdman as Jordan. Guest starring... Spider-Mats as... Okay, let's go.
This is Matt, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Zach, go ahead. What you wanted to talk about.
Oh, wait, give me a second.
Cue elevator music.
I don't know what good elevator
Let
music is.
Matt talk for a minute.
Okay. That is a good insight, Matt. Thank you. Thank you for that. I was wondering the same thing.
Now, Matt, that is a hot take on the growing tensions in the Middle East. I'm surprised you would have that opinion.
I mean that not a lot of people would say that because that's just something that, you know, I guess, I mean, you have some real balls to be able to say stuff like that, you know?
Alright, I'm ready.
Dude,
Forgot to
you
plug in
can't
my
just
headphones.
interrupt Matt when in the middle of a sentence.
Sorry, my headphones weren't plugged in, so I couldn't hear him talking.
Okay.
Well, Matt is correct. Jet fuel can't melt steel beams. But what's going on with DotA?
Oh, okay, so anyway, I finished the DotA anime recently. And I have to say, overall, I generally liked it. And I would say, as somebody who has played a lot of Dota and watched it, that it might actually hurt your experience with it to watch it to play a lot of Dota versus the other way around.
Why?
Just because like a couple of the lore things are changed, and there's a few like moments in it that are kind of distracting, but they're only really distracting. They're like little Easter eggs or something, and you might miss something because you're paying attention more to that than what you should be paying attention to and stuff. But it feels. I actually really liked it. I think the main problem I have with it is one, that the episodes feel too short, but I've heard that the episodes were written to be 30 minutes and Netflix forced them to cut it down to 25, which is probably why they all feel too short. Two, I've also heard a rumor that they wrote 24 episodes, but Netflix only greenlit, I think, the first 8 for the season.
Oof.
So episode 8 is not a season finale. It literally feels like episode 8 of a 24 episode season.
So they're hoping that it comes back.
I hope.
Because it's not really over.
Yeah, it doesn't, like, nothing is really resolved by episode 8. Like, it's not like a season finale, a bunch of stuff happened, and we're at the end of a story arc. It's like, this is episode 8 of, like, a full season. I don't know what you're expecting here. I feel like none of the relationships feel forced, which was a very easy thing for somebody to mess up if they did do that. Overall, I very much liked it. I enjoyed the story.
You got a Riley in the background.
Well, that was Nami.
Oh, my bad.
I enjoyed the story. I think the characters were pretty good. It was a fun watch. It made Some abilities that the heroes have were not used in the show, which is kind of funny, but the other abilities that they don't have in the game were definitely used. Like Invoker, who has the largest array of spells in the entire game, uses 0 of his spells from the game. But Mirana, who has only a couple spells, uses like all of her skills except for invisibility. Luna uses all of hers, even though she has 2 passives. So I guess that's not that hard.
Well, they have to be able to implement it in the show. You can't just say, "Oh, this is a passive ability," so she's always just throwing daggers out from her body out of nothing at just every second she lives or something.
Well, it's the Luna has 2 passives. One is that her glaives bounce, and the other one is that she does more damage. Right? Those are her 2 passives. And when she has Lunar Blessing in the show, her eyes light up.
I see.
So she actually does, like, her passive is actually displayed.
So it's like a buff rather than it just being like an automatic thing.
Yeah, but it's when the moon's high in the sky, she always has it.
Right. I mean, how else would they really explain that that's what it is, Otherwise, she'd just always have her eyes glowing, and people would be like, why are her eyes always glowing, Yeah,
the way they showed what I would guess it was doing was how they showed like Dragonite's passive is like he heals like instantly after he gets cut.
Was his passive like increased HP regeneration or something? That makes sense then. That'll make sense.
Yeah, no, I do. I think it was a pretty decent show. I think that it suffers from a few things that were potentially Netflix's problem, not so much as the show's problem. Also, like, it also made me think about the people who are back to that like negative review that commented so much about the elf orgy and was so angry about it. And it's like, was the elf orgy in, like, did he see the extra 5 minutes of episodes that we lost from every episode?
What, do you think that the actual elf orgy was actually in the actual episode?
It might have been.
In the full version, it might have been a full on, like, X-rated sudden show, no longer rated for Netflix.
It's for adults, Jordan.
No, I get it. It's just, usually they don't show
people bang in Castlevania.
Like outright?
Yes.
I never noticed.
You didn't notice full penetration?
Yeah, I didn't notice that.
No, it's not full penetration because it's Netflix.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It'd be like HBO. It'd be like HBO level. Like, people are having sex vaguely, kind of.
Right. Where,
might be some heavy breathing, maybe a sensual caress.
Yeah, because they're animated in Castlevania, it's mostly just people, imitating the sounds hopefully correctly. and then the drawings just fucking... Which,
How about a voice actor reading over one of those scripts and just get to that part and be like, "Oh, sex noises." Like, huh? Like, what exactly are we going for here?
I'm sure female voice actors know that much better than men.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because that was one of the shit that fucking Funimation got for when they were... What was it? They were in a lawsuit with one of their voice actors because he was potentially sexually harassing children.
Not okay.
Anyway, so minors.
No, that's not okay.
No.
He was doing
I know.
that.
But I think people might get really upset if I call them children instead of minors.
Oh.
Because some people feel like that's a difference.
Yeah.
Anyway, so also it's alleged, so I can't say he was, but anyway, in the lawsuit, some of the fans of him attacked Funimation because they felt that it wasn't right for them to criticize his behavior when they dubbed Bikini Warriors.
Wait, what? What is them having dubbed another show have to do? Even if it's a more, explicit anime, doesn't a voice actor still a voice actor? They're still supposed to have like the general morals to the law.
There was a few baloney comments that were made there.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
because I also criticized them for comments they made between friends, which is like one of those huge things where like the internet doesn't seem to accept a lot of the ways. Was those things of like comments where it's okay for you to say these things between you and your small group of friends, but outside your small group of friends it might be offensive to a stranger because they have no context for why you feel that you can say this.
Right.
And, maybe you shouldn't feel that you can say it, but it's also like everything like becomes different, like the public and private discourse kind of conversation. And people are just trying to hold them accountable for things that they said in private conversations to each other that was used, or like in jokes for like the outtakes. And then I'm like, these outtakes were written in like the late 90s, or like were done in like the late 90s, because they weren't written because they're outtakes. These were done in like the late 90s. Like in the late 90s, if you were their age, those were the same fucking jokes you guys were telling. Don't fucking holier than thou me over this shit.
Right.
Those are like this fucking South Park jokes that were going on. Like, don't fucking get your fuck off your horse.
Yeah.
It's so weird how like the generation that was pretty much brought up with shows like South Park and Family Guy has gotten so soft and just sensitive to more raunchy content like that.
But it's not like them being soft, because South Park did fucking call them out. It's the fucking like weird PC assholes. The what was it? In South Park, PC stands for Pussy Crusher. And the whole thing was it's a bunch of fucking college frat boys trying to impress the girls by showing how virtuous they are. And that's like where like the thing kind of there some of it a ton of it fucking does originate from that. Fucking because of the way this is true, it's not really fair for me to laugh at, but it's true that there's a lot of shit that women had to go through as far as like civil rights shit goes. So like they often care a lot more about civil rights shit, and so a bunch of white frat boys who are college students who were trying to get laid pretended to care about this shit and didn't understand how to actually care about it, and so instead created this horribly toxic community of you can't say anything negative ever under any context.
That sounds about right.
Without us jumping down your throat.
Yeah, that sounds about right for
it's
most
like,
people
it's like
that I've
all
talked
of
to.
Twitter
like
is
that.
like what that is. Like anybody who posts on Twitter, it's either those people or like the alt-right are like the only two people who post on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And people who just advertise shit like me. It's like, if somebody gets mad at me at any of my takes and wants to tweet at me about it, it's like I don't read Twitter at all. It's literally there just as a vehicle to post my blog entries somewhere.
And to post our whatever this is called, podcast.
Oh, yeah, I do that too.
Yeah, you better.
The podcast goes up there.
You better.
Well, I use the podcast is also used as a vehicle to promote my blog, so.
Ah, I see.
Boom.
Cross promotion.
Everything that is a vehicle for promoting my blog goes to my my Twitter. My Twitter literally does nothing else. I don't read it. I don't look at it. It's an output, not ever an input.
That is a pretty interesting opinion, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I actually wish Matt was here for this conversation.
Yeah.
This is like a conversation that he kind of you could use his expertise on.
Why does it have some sort of religious context or
No, because it has to do with fucking voice acting.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. No, it's just.
I don't know. He might have ran into this issue.
Well, not that Matt ever creates any issues over religion. He doesn't generally, but it's like he is pretty religious though.
Yeah.
So that's usually what I think when it's like something specifically related to him. He's like one of my only friends that's super religious. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
But he is also my only friend that's a voice actor, so I guess that's a good point.
Yeah, yeah, whatever. But yeah, also because there was somebody who like deleted their Twitter recently because I just watched their video and it was like a really hard hour and a half watch of like them going over all the quote unquote past crimes that they made to these people. And the one that got them their account deleted, which is so fucking stupid, was suggesting that young adult media changed after Avatar: The Last Airbender, which it did.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, some did. Not all of it takes from Avatar, but there is a lot of stuff that does. And she was just making the point that Raya the Last Dragon is a lot like Avatar: The Last Airbender, and maybe we could have a name for this subgenre so people know what they're looking at before they start like in on something. Like so it's like, oh, I'm looking for something that's kind of like Avatar: The Last Airbender. What kind of subgenre notification do I need that'll tell me that that's what that is? And she didn't even mean it in a negative way, but then people were like, oh, you're super racist because you suggested that these two things were identical.
What, the dragon and Avatar?
Yeah, that they follow similar plot elements and themes and have similar characters.
I haven't seen Raya the Last Dragon, so I don't know how that's racist.
I also don't know how it's racist. I don't think it is racist. And it was also the fact that her comment was intended to be a positive comment, not a negative one. Because people don't fucking understand that shit. And I don't know.
I just don't understand things most of the time.
It's fucking Twitter drama. I hate Twitter drama.
Yeah, Twitter drama.
That's why I don't read Twitter. Like, I already addressed that part.
Yeah. You went on a whole rant about it. Almost as long as my Sonic with Blue Arms rant.
Anyway, thanks, Matt. that was a nice critique of Jordan's comment about Sonic having blue arms.
Well, I'm just saying.
Anyway, no. Even before you start.
Okay.
I also watched recently a video about what happened to the spoof movie. And about how, like, spoof movies kind of don't do as well as they used to. Well, they kind of do, but now they're much cheaper and they're, like, Netflix exclusives kind of thing.
Are you talking about movies like Scary Movie, or are you talking about movies that are like that weird Hangover parody? Shaun of the Dead is great. That's a great movie. I love that movie. I would sit down and watch it every day.
I mean from like Airplane to Scary Movie to Austin Powers. I mean like the whole thing.
Oh.
Like overly goofy movies?
Yeah. Like the spoof movies where it's kind of like spoofing on something. Like Airplane was a direct spoof of I don't remember what the real movie's name is. And like their intention with that movie was getting like serious actors and making them say really stupid things. That's why I don't think I think people of our generation don't always associate Leslie Nielsen with being a very serious actor, but he was until Airplane. Like that was his whole thing. He only did like serious movies, and then he did like Airplane, and then he did whatever the one was that he did, like the TV show that Naked Gun is kind of a spin-off of. And then like stuff like that. So he's been like a serious character for a very long time before he became like the goofy goof character.
It's funny how easily he was able to make that switch, though.
Yeah. But yeah, when the reason like the spoof movie, like why it suffered so much was because of like its ratings, but like the reason its ratings went down is because the movies that they were spoofing had started to become self-aware and then started to become spoofs of themselves.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like Thor Ragnarok is like kind of a spoof movie, but it is a superhero movie.
Right, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So like at that point, like a spoof movie of Thor Ragnarok doesn't make sense anymore. Like it starts to hurt the idea of a spoof movie or the need of it.
Right, because it's already kind of there because of how Thor Ragnarok was.
And then like the other part that hurt it is like the Wayans brothers, because they did like 2 really good spoof movies.
And then everyone just wanted to piggyback on it?
No, and then they asked for more money to do the next one so they could make it better. And then they denied them. And so then they gave it to somebody else. And it's like, I think he's like the son or somebody, or he has a relation to one of the big spoof movie guys from before. Like the guy, I think it's like the guy who did Airplane or Naked Gun. It's like his son, maybe. I might be really out of context for that comment. But it's like his son or something, or somebody who knows him or worked with him, who like takes over like the Scary Movie franchise from then on, and he's like the one who's responsible. Him and like his partner are like the ones who are responsible for like every bad spoof movie from then on, like Meet the Spartans, the remaining Scary Movie franchise, a bunch of stuff. And they had like a really good I think they had like a good working relationship with Charlie Sheen, which is why he's in like all of their movies.
Right.
But yeah, like that's when the huge downturn of a lot of spoofs happened, is because like they became in charge of almost all of them. And then there was like a few exceptions. Like I think Superhero Movie is still supposed to be pretty good, because it's not made by them. It's made by like someone else who understands spoof movies
a little better than that guy. Right.
But yeah, that was my take on the Dota 2 anime. I hope it gets approved for another season, because I don't know if season 2 comes out, and season 2, I actually don't feel like it should be a season 2. It really feels like the second half of season 1, if it's where season 1 left off. If season 2 came out and it's really good,
nice,
and it gets greenlit, and we don't have to deal with this whole weird Netflix hell where it's like suspended for like a year and a half.
It's not Netflix hell, it's Netflix purgatory. Get your religious after deaths right.
Then what's Netflix hell? Is Netflix hell where the anime goes in between being Japanese into getting an English dub?
I think Netflix hell is wherever Death Note's at.
Yeah, I think the Netflix hell would be something that's already finished that people just don't give a shit about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so like right now, I'd say somebody who doesn't even have a passing interest with it, I couldn't even really feel comfortable saying you should definitely go watch it until the next season drops, because if this is all we get, we don't get enough. But on the other hand, I also want to kind of suggest to people definitely go watch it, because if you get to the end where we might, enough people watch it, we'll get another season, and that will actually make it a good show. Whereas right now, it's like you get to the end of episode 8, you're like, "Where's episode 9? Where do I go from here? Please, Netflix, fix this."
Right? Yeah. It's just like a big cliffhanger, I guess.
It's not even a cliffhanger. It's just the end of an episode.
Right. Okay.
You're just like, "Where's the next episode?"
Or it's like a series.
You didn't
and there's just like nothing
anything.
after that. Yeah. I get it.
It's like I don't want to spoil anything, because so much of like the twists that happen near the end are pretty cool. Invoker's fucking amazing. I love that he is such a cool character for the show. He's one of my favorite characters in Dota 2, so it's really nice to see him like not only be kind of cool in the show, but to be like a very important character to the show. Now we just need Anti-Mage to show up and go, "Magic sucks."
Just out of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, his brother's in it, so I guess a spoiler. His brother's in it. So it's like his brother, he could show up to fight his brother and then see Invoker and be like, "Magic sucks."
That would just be it. That's just what he do.
Yeah, he just shows up and goes, "Magic sucks." I guess reference for one. Anti-Mage is in Warcraft 3. He would have used the standard Demon Hunter model, and Terrorblade, who is his brother, would have used the Illidan Demon Hunter model. So he has like the big wings, and he transforms into his demon form.
Gotcha.
So in Dota lore, I believe the two of them are brothers, but I don't know how exactly. And this show didn't give us any hints as to how they could be related.
One is like half demon and the other is anti-magic.
Yeah, I don't know. Anti-Mage is like... Because Anti-Mage isn't like actually anti-magic, he's just... Anti-Mage? Like, it's weird. Whereas Silencer is actually anti-magic, like what he does, like, purges magic away from people, like that's his whole thing. So his is actually anti-magic, and like, Anti-Mage is more like magic denial. As in, he's just like, "Your spells don't work. Go away."
I see.
Huh.
And Silencer is like, "I steal your ability to cast spells." It's kind of interesting. I really wish there was like more to it. But that's the Netflix thing. Yeah, what were we gonna say?
I'll say in time, maybe we'll get some more.
Yeah.
I know Witcher Season 2 just wrapped, so I'm pretty stoked about that.
Yeah. My mom had one of these weird moments when she was watching Witcher Season 2, and she gets to, or Season 1, and she like gets to a point, and she's like, "Man, this guy could really like play a really cool superhero. He'd do a really good job as a superhero."
Boy, do I have good news for you.
Well, the thing is, he's way better at The Witcher than he is as Superman.
No. He is not better at The Witcher than he is at the Superman. He is better written.
That's what I meant.
The Witcher.
I didn't mean him as the actor. I meant
yes.
The character of The Witcher is way better than the character
I
is
have
Superman.
zero problems with him playing Superman. My main problem is just like the
How
writing.
he's written. Yeah, that's what I meant. My bad. I didn't mean to say he was a bad actor at playing Superman. That's not what I meant. I meant that the writing for Superman has been really bad.
Well, it's also like the way WB is. Like, you can tell, like, even... And this is the other thing, I think, after watching the Snyder Cut, it feels like maybe his movies weren't as bad as we want, or as we think they are, because maybe WB has more of a handle on it than we think they do.
Mm-hmm.
And they do have, like, a really tight grip on all that shit. Like, fucking... What was it? Ben Affleck asked if he could have a Superman or Batman suit after Batman v Superman, and they told him that it was way too expensive. And then, like, the Marvel counterpart was Ryan Reynolds was like, didn't even ask if he could take the Deadpool suit home. He just left. He just left the set wearing it.
Look, you're gonna tell me Ben Affleck can't afford to just buy the suit from the studio if he really wanted it that bad?
Right.
I mean, I think he could, but I don't think he wanted it that bad. Like, I think when they gave him the price tag, he was like,
Yeah.
it's like, I'm not giving you like $20 million for this shit.
Right.
That'd be fair.
I mean,
Honestly,
honestly,
it was something stupid. It was a way too much money for that suit, and they like gave him shit when he asked about trying to take it home.
Well, it's just, it's not like it's just made for the movie, so it's not like it's gonna be full on an actual tech fucking billionaires real gadget shit. It's just
Yeah, but
Taylor.
He was a kid, and he wanted to go home as Batman.
No.
For his kid.
I'm not saying against him. I'm saying against the movie for charging so much. I mean, the studio. WB.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's what I'm saying. It's not like it's the real fucking Batman suit. It's just the fucking prop.
But speaking of weird, overly expensive outfits, you remember the Green Goblin outfit from the original Spider-Man movie?
The one where he looked like a Power Ranger?
Yes, the Power Ranger outfit. You've seen, like, the behind-the-scenes of what his original outfit was supposed to be? Before, like, I guess Sony at the time stepped in and changed it to the Power Ranger outfit, I guess.
I remember seeing it, I just don't remember what it was. It was just so long ago.
It was I think it was a half animatronic prosthetic mask.
Oh yeah, because it had like movement in its face and stuff, like to actually animate Green Goblin.
Animatronic eyes, and then the rest was makeup on like Willem Dafoe's face. And like a long purple hood and stuff. It was also purple.
Yeah. The actual color that Green Goblin actually wears. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I wish we got that movie with that suit. That would have been so fucking good. I hope if he ever shows up in the MCU, he's wearing purple. But I don't know if he ever will. Like, he's such a... At this point, to have made zero references to him in the MCU, I think he might not exist.
I thought it was the MCU where he... No, that was Amazing Spider-Man. Never mind. I was thinking where he was, like, half dead, but that was Amazing Spider-Man. My bad. Yeah, they don't even, like, make a reference to Harry or anything, so... I mean...
Yeah. There's no Harry, there's no Oscorp, there's no... I mean, there might be an Oscorp, but, there's nothing there that, like, really tells you...
Right.
That Osborn exists. Like, and... At this point, I feel like even if they did introduce Osborn, like, the next movie would have, like, so much trouble, like, trying to paste over the whole Peter's relationship with this guy.
Right, because right now his best friend was his name Ned?
Yeah.
So
it's also, like, his whole relationship with Norman Osborn was kind of supplanted by Tony Stark in the MCU.
Right, yeah.
It wouldn't have existed. I mean, you could... I guess you could do it now if you told it as though he's now meeting Norman Osborn, and he sees Norman Osborn as this guy who could have replaced Tony Stark.
Who could, like, rival him, I mean?
Yeah. I guess they did that with Mysterio, and that was, its thing.
Right. Even though Mysterio's not an actual genius.
Yeah. You could, because you could do that kind of storytelling. You could, do the whole thing, but it'd be like Peter's trying to replace this billionaire, genius, philanthropist guy that he used to look up to with another genius billionaire philanthropist guy.
In most
who
things,
just also happens to be a supervillain.
In most of the things, don't they do that with Dr. Octavius though? Not with Dr. Osborn?
No, because Dr. Octavius is like is usually like later.
Oh yeah.
Dr. Octavius is like a teacher. Like so their relationship, first off, almost all of Peter's main villains, the main like three that people would think about, Dr. Octopus, Green Goblin, and like the Lizard, are all like role models that he looked up to until they turned into monsters.
Right, yeah.
So
well,
I
mean the Lizard eventually, starts getting his mind back. Eventually.
It depends which fiction you're reading about him.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, I don't know.
Matt, I agree. We are talking about Spider-Man, and we haven't asked your opinion at all. And that is kind of your thing. My bad. Here, let's give him a second to talk.
Anyway, Jordan, so we're going to move past that. One of the things I wanted to mention, I guess a quick tidbit of a comment on something we talked about last week a little bit, is that new hero in Dota, and Juan was like, that sounds a little strong. And the problem, I think, was the thing that I could definitely not have communicated because I didn't understand it at the time either, was that when you actually looked at her numbers, like the hard numbers of how much all of her damage did, how all of it worked, it's like her stats were really good, but all of her skills were like fucking garbage can. Like they had good reads, and then like when you actually like looked at all the numbers and like did calculations on them, it's like, no, this doesn't actually do anything. Like this is trash. And she was so bad, she was buffed on the same day that she was released.
Oh, wow.
Her win rate was like 35%.
That's kind
basically
of funny.
No Dota hero has been released with that bad of a win rate.
So essentially, they just didn't give her powers the actual power they needed.
Yeah, I think that they just under-tuned her. They probably thought that like
she was gonna be OP,
with
enough
good items, she'd just like really snowball and like get out of control. Which I mean, she could, because almost all of her stats or all of her damage on her skills is like based on her primary actual damage. So because she is a semi-carry to a carry, so that means that she needs. So when she gets a bunch of stat items and like starts to become really buff, her damage does start to like go up. It just, the problem was the bonuses weren't equaling basically every other hero in every other department. There were a few ways where you could build her, which was against the grain a bit, where you build her more I'm trying to think. It was a few different items that like people weren't buying on her, and like you had to buy them because they just made her stronger. It was something like an item that every time you attack somebody, you give them like a minor slow. Stuff like that. Stuff to like actually keep people from escaping you and getting away. And using phase boots, which, to explain phase boots versus like basically any other boots in the game. Phase boots, or I guess all the boots in the game is probably what I'll have to explain. Dota has I don't remember how many sets of boots, but it has a few sets of boots that you basically want at least one set on every character. They all increase move speed by a set amount, but there's power treads, which increase your attack speed, phase boots, which increase your attack damage, tranquil boots, which increase your healing over time, mana boots, arcane boots, which give you mana on use, and Boots of Travel, which allow you to teleport to a friendly player or a tower or minion. No, wait, not a friendly player. You have to upgrade them to do a friendly player. But allow you to to teleport to a minion or tower. So they basically replace your TP scrolls. And then it has some other boots, but they don't really matter that much. They're like neutral items and shit. But phase boots, because of the fact that her crit happens on her 4th attack, most people are buying power treads for the attack speed, when in reality you probably wanted phase boots for the damage and the movement ability that it gave you. And like little things like that, and it gives you like a bunch of armor, which helps you leverage your HP better. A bunch of little shit like that was like making the difference as to whether or not she could win a game. But still, even with that, her win rate was like in the gutter. So they did have to buff her like almost immediately.
Buff her.
Yeah, she just wasn't strong enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, that happens sometimes in Dota, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
never like release something perfectly. There's always going to be some sort of like little fix or change you got to make afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially like with a carry like her, like it's so easy where if they fucked up, like just one of those numbers, and she probably would have been so OP.
So OP.
Like because like there's a few carries where they have that kind of thing where their base attack is added to an ability. Sun Wukong is a good example, and when Sun Wukong was released, he has some similar stuff. If he hits the same character 4 times, he gets a huge damage buff and lifesteal buff. And his main attack, where he slams his staff on the ground, also uses his base damage as its main damage calculation. But when he was released, he was OP as fuck. He had like a 70% win rate or something. He had to get nerfed right away. So I think that things like him kind of taught them, like, you know, this is how easily this thing can spiral out of control. So you gotta balance it a bit before you release them. And I guess they just undertuned her a bit too much. It was also that she was released with like a shitload of item changes, and I think that also maybe messed with her, because maybe she was designed before the item changes, so the item changes probably brought her win rate way down. But not only did she have the lowest win rate of any new released hero, at the time I think she had the lowest win rate of any Dota hero ever.
Jeez.
It was pretty awful. Yeah. I don't remember if Smite's ever had a release that was that underpowered.
Dun 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 dun.
None that I can really think of. More often than not, they have it the other way, where someone comes out and they're just busted.
Yeah.
Dum 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 dum.
There's a few where I kind of feel like maybe in the beta, a few of them were. But I don't know. Some of the beta heroes had such dramatic changes that they're not even recognizable to their original counterparts. Like New WoW, like she has completely different abilities.
New WoW.
Yes. Her ultimate is now on Ganesh. Or her old ultimate is now on Ganesh.
Ganesh.
And I don't know whatever happened to her other abilities. I think they're gone forever. I think the only one that she still has is the summon stone guys and the cloak. I think the smoke screen she always had. I think those are the only two that she's always had, and then I think everything else is different.
Yeah.
She used to turn into a snake.
Yeah,
that was her ultimate.
Yeah, she has a legacy skin that still does that, doesn't she?
I think, well, when she goes into the air, she turns into a snake. What she used to do was that if you used all 3 of her abilities before you cast her ultimate, she would become a snake, and she would fight in snake form for a while. That was her old passive. She used to be fucking weird. Like, she was such a weird hero when she was released. But yeah, anyway, so besides all that, I kind of wanted to touch on a little bit on World of Warcraft 9.1, which is coming in the next couple months.
9.1.
And it dropped on the PTR recently, so we have some patch notes. Keep in mind, all of this could change because some of it probably, or most of it probably isn't, but like some of it really will, or might. One of the things that is adding that I don't know how you're looking forward to this, Jordan, is 40 more Covenant levels.
Yeah!
I don't know what any of the rewards are going to be. There's also going to be a huge, or the next section of the Covenant campaign is also going to happen.
Cool.
And it's going to resolve like a bunch of the stuff that we didn't finish resolving. Like it, I think you've already started to interact with it, but you got sidetracked with Vol'jin. Was the Tyrande part? You were gonna come back when you continue Night Fae after 9.1. You're gonna go back to trying to help Tyrande and her not explode.
Right. I mean, that's still happening right now. It's just, I thought the Vol'jin thing was kind of leading into like in a different direction. Because not in a different direction, but is going to loop back to it.
No, none of your stuff connects.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you have a part with Tyrande, a part with the Drust or whatever, and a part with Vol'jin, and none of the three parts connect to each other.
Oh.
You deal with like the Drust at the start, and then the Drust again at the end, and like the two parts in the middle are Vol'jin and Tyrande, but they're not really connected to the start and the end. They might clean that up by expanding more on those two storylines in after 9.1 and the Jailer invasion, but that's what that is. Oh, also the Jailer will invade.
The Jailer will invade, like all the Shadowlands places, or
yeah. And then you gotta like get together with your Covenant and help him push him back out.
I see.
And Sylvanas will be there. She'll like throw fucking daggers at people.
So is that going to be like a new World Quest interaction, or is that going to be something like a big event type deal, like the raid on Orgrimmar and stuff like that?
I think it's a big event thing, because I think in 9.1 in the PTR right now, it's like the main story that you do. So it's probably going to be what you're doing. It's going to be like the quests you did when you entered Shadowlands. It's going to be like that line. But instead, it's going to be you fighting against like Sylvanas and stuff, and trying to get her to stop trying to help the Jailer.
The problem is, when I saw Vol'jin's like Windrunner, like he never trusted her, yeah, but she was always terrible and all this stuff, and he knew that, and like, why did you let her become war chief then?
Sure, it's because you're missing the whole part in between during like Battle for Azeroth. You missed that whole quest line. There's a quest line in like Battle for Azeroth where you find Vol'jin's spirit and you talk to him then, and then that's like where he starts to understand all the stuff that Windrunner did after he died.
Oh.
Most of the stuff that sours his taste towards her so much is the stuff she did after he died.
I see. Right, like the mana bombing and all that stuff.
And the burning the tree.
Right, yeah.
Because up until that point, she was just kind of sketchy, not like, full-on war crime.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, in Legion, she doesn't really do anything that bad. Like, she just is trying to find a way to save her people. Like, and that's her storyline, and when you do her quest in Legion, that's what it feels like her storyline is. And then when you get to BFA, it's like, no, I was sacrificing all of you to this war effort, and I'm not going to tell you why. And then Shadowlands this is the why I was sacrificing all of you.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't really feel like it connects well.
Yeah, it doesn't connect well.
It just kind of feels a little bit all over the place.
I think it's I think what happened, I would guess, because I think that they've been talking that when they were doing Legion, that this was part of it like the whole time. Well, maybe not Legion, but like from BFA onward to Shadowlands, was that like maybe I don't know how long they had her plan for how it was going to go. But they've had her plan for a few expansions now. I think maybe in Legion is where it starts, where the head writer knew what he was doing, and then I think that there's a bunch of little writers in there, and they're just kind of doing their own thing. And when they're trying to edit it all together, it doesn't line up well.
I'm just imagining a big head writer and a bunch of little writers just running around with, I don't know, it's stupid. Never mind.
I'm guessing that's why it comes out the way it does. But I don't think it's like intentionally bad writing by like one person. I think it's like written by committee, so it just like doesn't line up as well or as neatly as it should.
Written by committee.
Yeah, because there's also fucking Activision executives probably making all the decisions on how the story's gonna go.
Oh no, I'm sure they don't give a single fuck about the story. They're just saying you have until this date.
Oh, I bet they kind of do. I think when they go like, well, this character does really well, so you can't kill them. You have to change your story so that this character gets to do things. Like, I feel like Activision had played a role in Illidan coming back into the story. Because the connection between Pandaria and Draenor was kind of iffy. And then when they were asked about the weird timelines and maybe how that would affect the story going forward, they just said, well, we're not going to deal with that.
That's a good way to deal with that.
And then, so I feel like Draenor also happened because some Activision execs were like, this has to happen. We want to have Grom Hellscream in this game. How do we get him in the game? How do we get all our orc heroes who like defined Warcraft into this game for like no reason?
Mm-hmm.
Grommash travels 30 years into the past, and then the 30 years in the past Draenor connects to our Draenor, or to our Dark Portal somehow. Don't explain why, it just does. And then, like, from there to Legion feels like the same thing. Like, why is Illidan in this? And it's like, well, Illidan has to... He's one of our biggest characters. We gotta bring him back somehow. We gotta, like, redeem him and then deal with this whole Sargeras thing instead of, like, you know, Sargeras being dealt with differently. Because it feels like Sargeras wasn't a corrupted titan until fucking Legion. That he was his own thing.
A corrupted titan?
Yeah, Sargeras is a titan who went evil because he saw that the old gods were trying to take over a titan spirit that lived inside Azeroth and corrupt it. And so, in an attempt to kill the titan spirit to save the universe, he creates the Burning Legion. And he's a titan. So he like goes to the Twisting Nether and he like talks to all the Dreadlords and then forces them all to create the Burning Legion, I think. That's vaguely how that happens. And then they go to Argus or whatever, and then they try to force them to join them. And then some of them join them and become the Eredar, like kill Jaden and what's the other two? Archimond and whatever. And then Velen's like, I don't want to do this, and then he leaves and goes to Draenor.
I see.
And then eventually to Azeroth. Yeah, the World of Warcraft story is kind of all over the place.
I see. I don't see, but I see.
And that was like before they added in weird storylines from like shit. Because there's also the books that also exist, but the books are like their own timeline. there's characters in it that don't ever appear in World of Warcraft and like do all the stuff. Like I think in the books, Varian's the one who beats. No, I think technically in the lore of World of Warcraft, Varian's the one who kills Onyxia. So whatever you did in Classic doesn't matter because Varian did it.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, if they were gonna make it like a game or something, they would have to have like an actual character doing it, not just a custom.
It's like one of those things where you feel like maybe they should have just made Warcraft 4.
Right. Yeah.
We were gonna do this, make Varian one of the main characters, and us like go through his story, or make an RPG set in the Warcraft universe that follows Varian. I think that would probably actually be cool. You have to do that every time you like respond to something.
Yes.
Because you could have like the whole part where he's trapped in the pit, and he comes home and he finds out that a dragon had taken over his court.
Oh yeah, that did happen, didn't it?
Yeah. And then you and Bolvar forced the dragon out.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bolvar eventually became the Lich King, and you're like, man, that's a story for that character who was in Stormwind and did basically nothing until that Onyxia raid one time.
Yeah, that sounds right. Sounds about what happened.
There was the other guy too, but he dies right away, right? The guy you actually free from Blackrock Depths. In
I don't.
Juan, have you ever played Alliance?
No.
Oh, okay. So there was back in Classic, there was a quest line. The quest line to get to be attuned to Onyxia's lair was to find this guy in Blackrock Depths, and you had to like escort him out. And then like after you escort him out, he like goes to Stormwind, and then your next part picks up when at the gates of Stormwind, and he's like, "I've returned." And you like walk him through the city, and like all the guards stand to the side and like let him walk by. And then you take him up to Rin, the Lady Regent, and Bolvar, or like the three people in the room. And Bolvar's like, "Hey friend, where have you been? You've been gone for so long." And he's like, "I'm here to prove that this Lady Regent is actually Onyxia." And then he like forces her to transform into Onyxia, and she kills him.
Yep.
And
I remember that.
And Bolvar and you have to fight off all of Onyxia's guards, who are apparently all the royal guards in Stormwind. And little baby Anduin has to run away.
Yeah, I remember that.
What a twist.
What a twist.
I don't remember doing it myself, but I remember seeing people coming in all the time, like from raids and shit, to do that really quick, and then they'd leave on a guild raid or some shit.
Then you go to Onyxia.
That was before phases were a thing. So every time someone did it, everyone in the world saw it.
It was a huge thing. Like it's one of those parts of Classic that I'm kind of sad does not exist in retail anymore.
I agree. Where you see like someone actually completing like a big thing, and you get to, even though you didn't actually do it, you get to see what's going on and everything.
Yeah, and then you get to participate in it later, and you're like, oh man, I remember when somebody else did this the first time.
Yeah.
I remember seeing this as the level 20 running around, not able to do anything or understand what's happening.
Yeah, I kind of missed that. But at the same time, I get why phases are, so that they don't spoil or anything. But at the same time, you sit in trade chat, everyone spoils everything anyway.
Yeah.
No one's doing that in trade chat anymore. They're selling runs and trying to figure out what the best race for Orc is.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah, there's so much selling of runs. I'm like, God.
I don't understand that. I really don't. I mean, yeah, I just
How much does someone charge for a Torghast 8 run? Because I'm gonna fucking start selling runs.
I see some idiots trying to sell them for like 200k. I'm like, who is paying that? You can literally jump in Group Finder for like 5 minutes and somebody will pick you up. It doesn't matter what your fucking eye level is. Torghast is a joke. So easy.
Yeah, and Torghast 8, like, it's not really that hard to get 190 item level.
It's really not. Just do your Covenant story. Bam.
Yeah, and then like once your fucking covenant starts maxing out, you're gonna get 190s from fucking the world quests. You're gonna start getting them from your adventure, and then once you get to that point, like what's the matter? You can just run 8. 8's no struggle if you're 190.
I imagine some classes might have a slightly rougher time with it, like classes that don't really self-heal a whole lot. Like if you're like a rogue or a mage, maybe. But
yeah,
mages do generally have some sort of self-sustain. Their shields don't absorb that much of a hit, but like fire mages, which is what is it called? Meta. What the meta is, which that means that like almost everyone's a fire mage. They have that talent that makes it they die, they just come back with 35% health, essentially. So that's kind of a self-sustain a little bit.
combine that with the meta legendary for mages being Triune Ward, and that shit's fucking busted.
What's that?
It basically gives you all 3 of the different mages' shields at once.
Oh, that is pretty busted.
Fucking dumb. So you're like, you're over there trying to kill a mage, and you're just like, I get like 30k health now. And you're like, oh, this is great. Back in the day, it used to be if I got to you, you died.
Yeah.
But now you can just kite me for days.
It's just another one of those Paladin v Druid battles. Where it takes forever.
Does it still count as magical? You could just purge it, right?
You might be able to. I don't know. I haven't fought a mage on my demon hunter, I think, so I don't have a higher level shaman.
I was I have learned that people don't like to do mechanics. I had to do fucking halls of attunement on my demon hunter, and I'm like, I'm not fucking doing this on heroic. People are probably not going to do mechanics, and it would like fuck up one of the fights. So I just did it on normal, and it was super easy, but people not fucking doing mechanics. It's like, interrupt this stupid spell so she doesn't fucking damage the whole team, guys. And then she just starts casting it, and I'm like, I hope my interrupt's ready. Because it's not. Nobody else is fucking doing it.
That's why it's like, DBM is like essentially something you absolutely need when you're playing World of Warcraft, especially in dungeon scenario. I don't get why that's not just like a core part of World of Warcraft at this point.
Yeah, some of the mods, I'm like, why is this one not the one you've put in? I mean, you put in multi-bars, you put in auto-looting, you put in area looting and stuff, and item level. Like, some of the other ones are pretty good. And you put in some aspects of some of the dungeon mods. Like, it puts it on your screen when somebody's doing a big attack that you definitely need to not get hit by. So I don't know.
Because like sometimes you think like, okay, is this person just legitimately not paying attention? Or is this their first time and they have literally no way of knowing what's going on?
Well, I mean, a lot of time for me, it's the latter.
Yeah, you also should.
You're standing in fire? I know, it's just because hunters are freaking idiots.
Yeah, I noticed.
Hunters just don't move.
I noticed that sometimes. Like, I mean, I may not recognize all the things coming up as they come up, but when I notice I'm standing in lava, I move. If I'm getting hurt by where I'm standing, I'm gonna get out of there. And meanwhile, I see other people just standing there and expecting me to heal them. I'm like, dude, I gotta heal the tank, and I'm trying to keep you alive, and you're literally just standing there in the damage.
Yeah, like, what was it? We were playing the other night with the Mythic Zeros with that hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, that guy.
That was last night, wasn't it?
Yeah. But besides the chat, when we were doing the boss fight, He was fucking just standing there the whole fight.
Every time
He
the
stood in
dodgeball
the
went
middle.
right at him, yeah. And the fox
just stood
just
in the
went
middle of the
after
whole
him. He
fight.
didn't move.
Literally
he
the
did-
most mobile ranged class in the game, and he's just gonna fucking plant down and be like, "This is it."
I mean, literally the only thing I mean, when I made my hunter, I even looked through like all the skills. The only thing I could really see that they could not move when they're casting is aim shot. Everything else can be cast while moving or is instant cast. There is no reason for a hunter to be standing still unless they're using aim shot, which they have to be marksmen to use.
That's funny.
It's just there's no reason to.
One of the things that reminds me of TBC, like why I would be more why I'm kind of interested in TBC beta, or classic, not beta. TBC classic is just the idea of my class was a lot less simple than it is now. Like as Warlock, I basically spam Shadow Bolts, Hand Gul'dan, and summon Dreadstalker sometimes. Whereas in TBC, it was like I also had to cast Immolate and Incinerate and Hellfire and Seed of Corruption because I had those skills. Yeah, it was also weird because it's like because Incinerate kind of is meant to like kind of replace your Shadow Bolt in your rotation, but I guess for Destruction it used to because I think it was better because I think Immolate was better because of how it paired with Immolate and stuff.
Right. So like some classes definitely were more difficult, but then you look at hunters where they had their one button macro.
Mm-hmm.
Hunters, like, yeah, I there's a lot of abilities where I also feel like maybe this shouldn't be like spec exclusive anymore, or I wish I could be like pick a secondary spec the same way a fucking druid can. Like a affinity. I want an affinity somewhere in my talent tree or something. Like not one I have to pick, but one that I could pick.
Right. See, that's what was nice back when like actual talent trees were a thing. It's like if you wanted a certain ability, you could go ahead and spec down that particular specialization, pick up that ability or pick up some passives. But now it's all just kind of like, here's your cookie cutter thing. Here's what you get. Pick from one of these 3 abilities. 2 of them are probably shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I have one of my talent lines where it's like one of these is like the best, and then there's other ones really good, but I only really want it if I have the first one. Because the first one gives me more soul shards to be able to do shit. Yeah, I don't know. I miss stuff like that. Like back in the original The Burning Crusade, where like you didn't grab the Felguard because he was a wasted talent point. Because he was just so bad, like when he released. Like at pre-level, I think pre-70, or no, pre-60, I think it was only up to. He was like really good. And then the second you went past that, like once you hit like 61, he like fucking dumpstered. Like he was garbage. And so you just like fucking dropped him and then went to the other thing. It was like at level, I think it was 40, I think is the level where you could get him first. It's 40 or 50 or something. When you could first get him until like level 60, he was like broken, and then like everything past that, he was just garbage. He just fell off so hard. And I think that's also because I think early Burning Crusade was before they implemented pets gaining any stats from you. So like he had like no stats. Fucking, there are so many changes that they made in much later iterations of WoW that just made casters better. Like spell power didn't exist before It was 1 point something is when they put in spell power. It wasn't in the base game. I think you could get all the way to Blackwing Lair before spell power existed. And then I think it was after Blackwing that they decided spell power needed to be a thing, and they started putting it on gear. And then I don't think Int affected your spell power until Burning Crusade or something. Like fucking World of Warcraft. So like, it was so fucking stupid because you hit 60 on a fucking mage, warlock, priest, whatever, and you were just capped. Like, nobody gave a shit what your gear or item level was because you were no better at 60 than you were at 60 with full gear. You just had some more mana.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one pro is with that, like, you can just kind of get into anything, really. But then the other, major con is, well, there's really nothing to work towards.
Yeah, you don't get anything. You just look cooler. That's why spell power was added like pretty quick. It was added before the end of Classic. And then I think in Burning Crusade, I think the Burning Crusade is when it contributed to spell power, and I think that's why spell power like almost entirely disappears in early Burning Crusade from gear, because it was garbage. It was garbage to have a spell power stat. It was wasting your stats. It's because like stat distribution was so fucking garbage. Because you could get so much strength so easily with like a fucking warrior that would buff up their damage, and then like you're a fucking warlock, and it didn't matter how much int you had, you just didn't get any more damage. PvP was controlled by like arms warriors and I think assassination rogues at the end of Classic.
I mean, that sounds right.
They just like completely fucking controlled PvP. Like, armed warriors could kill anybody. Or was it Fury? Maybe it was Fury. They could just fucking kill anybody. There was nothing you could do if you fought them. Like, they just murdered you. Prot was 100% a PvE spec and had zero usability in PvP. Fucking old WoW, like, had so much shit. Yeah, and then fucking druids. Everybody wanted one druid in their team, and all he did was cast regrowth on each single member.
Yep. By the time he got to the last one. By the time he got to the last one, he had to restart on the first one.
I think they had one on in each party, I think was how druids worked. You wanted a druid in each party, so you wanted like 8 druids or whatever. Or 4 druids, I don't remember. You didn't want very many druids, but you wanted enough druids. And all of them needed the stupid mod that would tell them when rejuvenation was on somebody. Because that was not in the original game. Like, you had to manually click on people to see if they had any buffs.
Right, yeah.
And your first 20 minutes of every raid was casting Mark of the Wild on each individual character.
Unless you had Tome of the Wild.
That didn't exist at the start of Classic, Jordan.
It existed at some point before Burning Crusade, though. I don't remember when it existed, but it was
Classic. It was like a drop. I think it was a drop in Blackwing or Naxxramas.
Yeah, it sounds right.
And it was added, I think it wasn't added when Blackwing was released. If it was added in Blackwing, I think it is Blackwing where it was added. I mean, like, it was in Blackwing Dungeon, but I think it was added to Blackwing like after or much later in Classic's life. Like maybe just before Naxxramas was released, kind of thing. Because I think Naxxramas was the last one, wasn't it? Or was it? No, Zul'Gurub is Burning Crusade, right? Fuck, I don't remember.
You're asking the wrong person. I haven't played that game.
I know
in 15
Zul'Aman
years.
was Burning Crusade. Maybe Zul'Gurub's the last dungeon in Classic. It's either Zul'Gurub or Naxxramas is the last dungeon in Classic. And too bad they don't let us transmog stuff to shit we would pick up in Classic. That would be like the best version of Classic, I think. Would be for us to be able to play Classic and get transmogs for retail.
Right.
You
That'd
just
be-
go to those places in retail and get them.
Yeah, I know. But except
good
you
point.
can't.
And like instead of having take fucking 10 to 15 hours to go clear molten core, you can do it in like 10 minutes.
Yeah. The only piece you don't need to farm is your headpiece, because you get that from a really easy quest to level 50.
Yeah.
Or level 20, I guess now. Which is why I run around with demon horns everywhere on my warlock. The Druid one is kind of cool, Jordan. You get, like, what, Malfurion's antlers or something jammed into your forehead?
Mm-hmm.
That one's pretty cool. Demon Hunter doesn't get that because, of course, they were released way too late. It's funny how you literally get nothing, like pre-Legion for Demon Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they came in right around the time like the WoW devs really stopped fucking caring about the armor sets, which is kind of unfortunate. Because I feel like their armor sets would have been really fucking cool.
Yeah. Like, your armor sets are cool. Like, I think the armor sets in Legion are pretty cool. And I think they had to be because the fucking... You were stuck with one weapon the entire game.
Yeah.
Which, on the other hand, I don't mind being stuck with the one weapon if we got, like, other versions of it faster, maybe. For, like, I would think for other expansions, I would have been fine if they kept the artifacts, but we just kept changing their shape and, like, they became, like, visibly more powerful. But, we had to throw them away eventually.
Yeah. Like, oh, you're this fucking paladin wielding one of the greatest, most holiest artifacts in the world. Fuck that. Pick up this random quest green.
It's better.
Yeah.
Yeah, BFA is the one that did that. And then, well, I guess Blizzard after Mustard Dungeon, Arcturus or whatever. Arturnus.
Mm-hmm.
The fucking Argus dungeon that I still haven't unlocked because I still don't have Argus on anybody. Fucking Argus, that's a pain in the ass to unlock. And if you wanted to play Void Elves on fucking Alliance, you have to have unlocked it.
Jeez.
That sounds fun.
That's why Void Elves look better than Nightborn. Because they take more effort.
But they both look shitty.
Void Elves don't look nearly as shitty.
Yeah, I did notice the Nightborn look like they have the old model of Night Elves. Except, like, combined with vampires. And it's really weird.
It's like a much higher resolution of their older model.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Nightborn are meh. I think in Shadowlands beta, they were playing with the idea because they had it like in your customization options where you could have made a Withered Nightborn. Well, then I guess they took that out because it's not there now.
Because that would be cool. I'd want to make a Withered Nightborn. That would make it worth it for me.
I guess it would be like the Demon Hunter thing, like if you last 4 skin options or whatever, where they're like you're half demon if you pick those ones.
Mm-hmm.
You get like all brown skin and like demon rocks all over you and shit. Those ones are cool, but they like make you look super old for no reason. There's nothing you can do about that. You just have an old face. I was like, that's gross.
Okay. Well, we've been live for about an hour. Do you have any final thoughts?
Go watch the Dota anime so Netflix greenlights the rest of that season.
Alrighty. How about you, Juan?
Are tricks really for kids?
That's a good question. I think they're for rabbits. Okay! Thank you for watching. Zach, tell them where to find you! Zach? You alive?
Thanks, Matt. That was really nice of you to do all that for me.
Oh. Right. Okay.
Anyway, no, you can find me at raziosomething.com, raziosomething on Facebook and Twitter. I don't really post on, I do post on those two, but I don't read anything, so don't use them as a way to communicate with me. If you want to send me an email, I guess you could use raziosomething@gmail.com. At some point, Jordan will set up a email for this podcast so where you can email us for maybe questions, or maybe we'll do a question segment if we get questions.
That'd be cool.
Other than that, that's all I got.
I think I do have a Gmail set up. Now that
I was
I think
gonna say,
about
didn't
it.
you do all this already?
Yeah, I thought I did. Hey,
Well,
Why don't you plug it at the end of this video then?
I never thought about it.
Every
and I never
video,
check
actually.
it. I probably should check it, huh?
Yes.
There might be just miles of hate mail in there. You never know.
Well, there's nothing there. No one's ever... I've never plugged it, so who then no one's ever sent anything. Okay, Juan, tell them where they can find you.
Between a rock and a hard place.
It's tough to be there. Tough to be there. Alright, Matt, tell them where they can find you. Great! Okay, and you can...
So sweet how he's always volunteering at the homeless shelter.
I know, he's just so vital. If we didn't have him every day, I don't know how we'd be able to do this. And you can find me right here at twitch.tv/StupidNerdman. And you can find this podcast where you're probably watching it at YouTube on the Stupid Nerdcast channel. And if you have any questions, feel free to give us an email. It's stupidnerdcast@gmail.com. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.